We have a new addition to the group today. Mark, you want to introduce
We got little Luna.
Luna? Please step forward.
Luna and Charlie.
Please stand up.
Luna's between the sound speaker. Here we
Don't
go.
show your face.
Hi, Luna.
There we go.
Luna. Hi, Luna. Say hello. Hello.
She's busy chasing shadows.
Hey, that's it. She introduced herself.
We continue running around.
Yeah.
This is her first day in the sands.
A big sandpit for you.
Had an amazing sleep last night.
Mm.
Very comfortable. Very
So
comforting.
comfortable.
Comforting and comfortable.
Oh, after the massage you got last night, yeah?
Yeah, it was really nice. Magical. Thank you. I felt like I was sort of there, but not there. You know?
That's the question. Are you there? Oh yeah, I can.
Surreal.
Not
right?
when you asked me, but. Is it cat?
She's here behind.
Okay. Let's try to explore awareness, huh? What do you think about this? What are the pros and cons of awareness?
Luna, are you aware?
Yeah, what is awareness?
Yeah, that's a good question to start with.
Yeah, I mean, a plant, is a plant aware? And
Yeah.
what kind of awareness does a plant have versus a human awareness?
Like you might be sitting next to the most beautiful flower, but you could always not notice it. Yeah, are you aware that there was a flower next to you?
A lot of times you don't.
Yeah.
You don't stop to smell the flowers, so to speak, or the roses, right?
And to explore the different vocabulary around it, like we use conscious, unconscious, awareness, ignorance, witness,
Witness, yeah.
alert, the different words, you know. Maybe in the attempt to understand these words, maybe we can go into a deeper level of understanding.
We can conceive of a...
Yeah. Let's take a moment to connect with the dictionary which we have within ourselves to grab the information. What does it mean by being aware, awareness? What do we do actually? What do we do inside when we are being aware? You know? Like when I say raise your arm, you raise your arm, right? When I say become aware, what do you do to be aware?
Pay attention.
Yeah, that's another word, attention. Awareness.
You feel it, yeah? You feel it using all your senses.
It's
Focus. The same, pay attention.
Aware, to wear. Are we wearing like our experience? Like a piece of clothing.
gives you power. For example, there's a scorpion
Where?
just down there. Oh no, it's a lizard.
I saw only once a scorpion here, but when I was alone, I was like, wow.
No, we
No,
saw
you
it
saw it with
together.
us. Remember the one that
The
was
one-
under the mat?
Oh yeah, yes.
One was running up your leg.
Hmm. So I've been lucky so far. They've been leaving me alone.
Yeah, all of us.
So where? Like that's like warning too, right? Where? The word warning.
Be wary.
Be wary.
Oh, be wary. Yes, you're right. Yeah.
Beware.
But it's like it gives you the tool. Like if you are aware, then it gives you the tools to be able to react or observe a situation, and then decide how you want to react.
And being aware is like probably means a lot more than just being mentally aware or with our mind. And it's a body awareness too, right?
Because it gives your body signals, I guess.
And vice versa,
Neurosignals and
right?
chemical reactions.
There's things that the body can sense that maybe the mind doesn't always sense either. They say that the heart has so many more whatever neurons or all that kind of stuff than the brain.
The brain is reacting on memory. So it has the capacity within that to be able to support you, but sometimes you have to go beyond that in a situation that you've never experienced before to be able to go through the situation. So there is an intelligence there where the body might kick in and support you, whereas the mind might limit.
Well, especially if the mind detects a threat where there may not be one, right?
Yes.
Because it will activate our sympathetic nervous system, which ties into all our other organs, causing our heart rate to go up and less oxygen to our brain. So it's a matter of, in some ways, not only awareness, but interpretation of the situation. What does our experience tell us?
I think there are levels of awareness, and that depends on sort of maturity and understanding, and experience, and then that sort of the willingness to understand as well, rather than necessarily accept everything as is.
So keeping an open mind.
Yeah, and
Curious.
questioning yourself of your own interpretations and questioning the situation. Like it goes back to what your perception of reality actually is.
That's interesting. Perception of reality.
Our perception of the illusion.
Can like when we say pay attention, what do we do? When you're talking to someone, somebody's not listening. You know that, right? Like the people drift away. Something is not paying attention. Then we say, hey, can you pay attention? And then they're like, oh, okay, and they'll come back. So there is like how the body has different functions, the brain has different functions. One is paying attention, one is understanding, One is reasoning, and one is being aware. So how we work on the body to make the best out of it. You know, the body comes with a potential of even swimming, you know, which is not a natural skill. You know, we need to harness that skill of swimming. You need to, in the same way. Is this a rat?
What?
That's a, I think that's a rat. Huh?
Oh, it's the lizard. No, it's too small. It's a lizard. It was the one that was down there.
So being aware is a function of the brain, which is always recording the information. It's aware all the time. But the challenge is the mind kicks in. The mind has its or the thoughts, and we pay attention to the thoughts. We pay attention to the stories, and then we miss on the underlying awareness. You know.
Yeah, because we're paying attention to our thoughts rather than our senses in some cases.
Yeah.
That's we've been trained to do that for such a young age. Like everything is mind focused in the education system. Like sensory only starts to become relevant if you're dealing with people with special needs, or you know, it's something on the side or complementary, but never fully absorbed into what we do. Like we're not really taught to be intuitive.
Well, and what is intuitive?
I mean, I don't think you can teach intuition either, but like the emphasis is more. So you're asking what is intuition?
Well, in that sense, because at a certain point, it also denotes going inside as well.
I think it's like a self-intelligence to be able to observe and understand a situation or a thing or an exercise.
You know, I brought to mind this American fighter pilot named Chuck Yeager, who's well known, you know, test pilot, and he was successful, I think, in some of his dogfighting and stuff, because his vision was 20 times that of a normal person. So he could pick out the incoming traffic of airplanes beyond the range of other fighter pilots, right? Which is, you know, a certain gift. And some of our intuition is some of our perception, some of our awareness dependent on our different levels of sensory perception. And what is sensory? I mean, other than just the five senses, is there that sixth? Are we talking more about that sixth sense? You know?
I would say all of them, because they support like how you're able to I mean, we're in the desert, we feel the heat, we touch the sand, we see the dunes, we hear the sounds or the non-sounds, you know, we feel the wind, and it's a quiet place that enables you to kind of be less distracted and go inwards. But you start to kind of, like for example the cat, before we turned on the video, the cat walked down the side of the dune, and she is exploring this new environment that she's never been in before. It's not necessarily something that's, you know, in her DNA either. And for her it's, you know, feeling the sand as it's sliding down the dune and observing what the sand is doing and then crawling back up. and then interpreting and understanding, oh well, okay, if I do this, all the sand slides, but if I come back up in this way, I can, climb back up and make it back successfully. I can choose to go, for example, you see the footprints here, she can choose to go along the more stable part of the sand dune, without going on the other side where she'll probably roll down the hill and have to kind of make more work for herself to come back. And similarly with Charlie, when he goes walking on the dunes and we're sitting down at the bottom of the dune, he'll choose the easiest route down that he can take without having to kind of, have an avalanche and an arrival covered in sand. But this is kind of using feeling, sensing, feeling the space, observing what things do around you to be able to kind of step your way down to wherever you want to go. And I think that's, also all your senses are important. For example, I hear that truck that went past. Okay, the road is over there, fine. Oh, it's getting a bit hot. Oh, I need to go and hide in the shade because it's going to be super hot here. It's going to be too much to bear. His desire to take care of the kitten because he's bigger and older, these things are kind of naturally inbuilt, but we don't really give the same emphasis to them in the education system.
So it's in a way, he's making it up as he goes along, or she is.
Responding to, literally just responding to what she has or he has, and finding the best route. And it's a bit of trial and error as well. But it's kind of continuously interpreting your environment. In fact, it's probably far more intelligent because it's not laid out. So they have to use this inner intelligence to kind of see how they navigate.
What's sort of like, in some ways, the difference between, at some level, classical music and jazz, right? Where you're improvising, right? To a certain degree, rather than just always purely. There's some structure, obviously. There's a beginning and an end in the middle,
and a specific rhythm, genre, and a style,
Yeah, but other than that, a lot of jazz musicians are sort of
they're more loose and easy and
responding to each other in the quartet or the quintet. So after the bass player lays down his bass line, then someone will solo over it, and they're listening to each other.
Yeah, I think they've built themselves the infrastructure to be able to do that within a particular genre.
That's
and
true
then
too.
it's because they've
practiced it.
They've practiced. Like, you cannot practice jamming, vamping. You can't practice that. You can a little bit, but actually you're really relying on having a good, I suppose, natural ability to be able to, feel the music and harmonize with the other players or the other members of the band. So it's then you're observing your relationship with your other counterparts. You're listening to the tune, you're listening to, the beat, you're listening to the different instruments. Perhaps there's even some vocal, improvisation as well, and you're following that. So it's all relying more on that connection between people than necessarily a learned skill. The skill is there, but it's gone beyond the basic infrastructure. It's actually an invitation to kind of go more into your heart or your natural ability to be able to kind of interpret and play.
So invitation to walk down the sand dune.
Exactly. Yeah.
Together.
Yeah. Or along the edge.
Yes.
I think in that instance there is an effort put into a learned skill that then goes beyond that, and it brings it to something that's far more sort of natural. Actually more, like the thing is rules, regulation, how, like classical music also, how that was composed is all kind of from, it didn't come from rules and regulation, but as humans, because, and I'm going to quote the drummer guys that came to the studio like maybe a month or two ago now.
That looked like fun.
It was really fun, but they gave the definition of rhythm. You know, like rhythm, your heart beats in a certain.
She jumped on the back.
Oh yeah, she does
She's
that.
trying to get the fly.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like you blink in a certain rhythm, your heart beats in a certain rhythm, you breathe in a certain rhythm, you walk in a certain rhythm. You know, and so that's already there. The heart pulses, or you know, life pulses are in a certain rhythm. So what music does, or formal music does, is takes this rhythm and transforms it into a particular style, depending on what that, you know, resonance is. You know, like Beethoven, Tchaikovsky, Haydn, you know, they are revolutionary because they took particular styles and pushed the boundaries and created this infrastructure, which still is celebrated, you know, today. And actually, it's the basis to which a lot of music is taught, whether it's singing or anything. Like, I learned Tchaikovsky, Haydn, all of that when I was learning to play piano. And it gives you the understanding, okay, we have rhythm, and then it's entirely up to you how you want to reinterpret or what path you want to go with. And it's all, I mean, it's all mathematical. It's all kind of perfect geometry, and so in the sense that's reinterpreted into, you know, the frequency waves and the resonance. It all interrelates. So there's some natural intelligence there that overlays into it. But then rules, and then of course, if you're too coveted by the rules and regulations, then it can limit your capacity because you're becomes too
That straight jacket on your creativity.
Yeah, exactly. Like we drive in England and Ireland and Europe, Northern Europe, as an example. There's a lot of heavy regulation and traffic rules and, you know, courtesy and different things, and America as well, right? You come to the Middle East, it's there, it's much more there now, but there's still that kind of, there's still like corners that you can take when you can take them. And then you go to India, and it's really, you know, survival of the fittest. But probably they have, honestly, you look at it and it's overwhelming. But then when you observe it, they're probably driving more safely and more intelligently than the rest of the world, because they got to find the tightest spot to move their vehicle from A to B in the most efficient manner. So,
or else they won't get anywhere.
Well, exactly. Like, honestly, if I was driving in India, I'd be still in the driveway trying to figure out how to get out. So, you know, so it's just what you've become accustomed to. And that's why I think we in the West kind of dull our intelligence sometimes, because we overbear ourselves with too many rules and regulation, even in design.
That's interesting, because a lot of these like major accidents on freeways happen in the United States because people aren't thinking, right? They go on automatic, everything's smooth, everyone knows the rules, and then one bad thing happens and there's a massive pileup because everybody's not thinking, right? Whereas that may not happen as much in somewhere else where people are sort of watching they're not turning off when they go on a highway.
Because Sundar told a story of the kids, the village kids, and the western, or the city kids.
Sadhguru's story.
You know, like they needed to get water, but it was too high up for them. So the city kids were like, "Oh, we don't know what to do. We can't reach it." And the village kids, they all kind of formed together to lift the lightest person up to get the water and fill the bottle. And that really made me think, oh my God, he really does have a point. You know, you can imagine, like, you know, you come from your polished place in life where everything is kind of easily available, ergonomically designed, in a certain format that, you know, everybody can actually relate to. And then you've got, well, what's available is available. You make do, and you figure it out. And I think less and less we're becoming, you know, we're making things. In a way, it's beautiful what we have created, but unfortunately, we're losing touch with the other side.
So where does creativity and awareness cross?
Oh, I think the most creative people are the most aware people. If they're not hindered by the psychological fear, or because they are already in touch with them, whatever they're feeling or sensing in it.
When the artists, when they're in a state of flow, are they aware?
No, they're probably focused. Yeah, aware. They're paying attention
But
to the
then in
activity.
state of flow, are they like, is there awareness, or is that a different state?
I think it's...
I think this is why we need to establish what awareness means to everyone of us, because everybody will have their own meaning of awareness. To me, everything happens in awareness. The moment you open your eyes, even before you open your eyes, first comes the awareness. You are aware, and this is like the foundation for everything. There is an underlying awareness. Without awareness, you cannot function.
What if you're blind?
Again, a blind man is aware. He's aware that he's blind. He's aware that he cannot see. He's aware of the sounds. He's aware of. He can be more aware. He can be more sensitive.
Because you have to be.
Yeah, awareness doesn't start and end with the eyes, right? There's other senses that they capitalize on.
What is the difference between awareness and being present? Is that different?
I find they're quite similar.
But is it exactly the same thing?
I always consider them the same, actually. Because when you draw, you're really there. Like, you're focusing on the shadows, the colors, the form, or what you're trying to recreate, or tell the story or whatever. So you're present in that moment. You may not be aware of, a car crash out the window, or, a bomb going off down the road, unless your windows shatter or whatever. You might not be aware of any activity around you, but you're in that particular moment, in that particular activity. So you're present for that activity. I mean, that's how I would interpret it.
I think even the presence is like, in a way, it's a kind of a misguiding of people. I don't know, I feel that way somehow. Because when we dissect time, we can dissect into past, present, and future. Okay. Past means you are imagining something that has happened earlier. Future means you are thinking about something that you might want to do it later. Present means none of these two, you are focusing on the things that are available in this moment, but still it is like a practice. But if you observe, being present should not be an effort. It should be something very natural, right? Because to be here, what kind of practice you need?
Nothing.
Okay. So being present is a practice to be here. Awareness is always there, but we have this feature.
Sorry, can I pause? Being present is a practice to be here.
Look, that's what I'm saying. I don't
know if it's a practice.
Or is this state of being?
Is that we're talking as an action? Being present is something you're trying
be present,
to do.
And
awareness is a state of being, is it?
Awareness is you don't have to do anything to be aware. It's there. Like when you wake up in the morning, it starts with awareness.
Just tap into it.
Is it an integrated understanding?
Is awareness?
Yeah.
Understanding is again a feature. When you're trying to learn something, you use your brain. Understanding is like, for example, you take a grain of sand. You're trying to understand, so you're using your brain.
Well,
so being present physically versus mentally, too. So, I mean, we're all here. In most situations we're present, but what often people are saying, be here, be present mentally, or focus your awareness right here and now. Even though your body's here, I'm sensing that you're not here.
The lights
So
are not. The lights are on and nobody's home.
yeah, so it's usually used in the context of, hey man, listen up. I have something to say. At some level, right?
Yeah.
Because
Something goes away. Something goes away, and
focus
something
goes away.
follows it. In this game of like, if you closely observe the thought process, there will be one thought that is the initiator of a conversation in your mind, and then another thought negates with it, and they both will have a conversation in your head.
like, should I say or should I not say?
Yeah, like I say, oh my god, this should I say? Maybe I want to ask her out. Then says, no, don't ask her out. You know, like she's it might ruin what you have now. You know, she might think, and then you go into kind of a conversation. The thoughts they talk to each other. They're not like one. You know, there are two roles playing, and there is somebody listening to the two roles. You know, there's a lot happening when a person is physically present.
Maybe if someone's like really intuitive, they'll figure out what that person's thoughts are.
Yeah, I heard about this. People can practice,
Yeah,
but
you can do that, but
what a waste of time. You know, we can't bear our thoughts themselves. You know, and to be aware of other people's thoughts is like, it would be quite annoying. Yeah. It would be fun in the beginning. What the cat is thinking. You know, maybe she's not thinking.
Probably she's not thinking. There are no stories in her mind to think.
She's enjoying the cool sand in the shade.
did you put Charlie in the car?
Yeah, his eyes are red.
Oh really?
He's overheated. You need to give him a coolant.
Did you put water in there?
No, not that.
Okay.
He's just chilling. So, like again, when we say conscious and unconscious, you know, like a person is conscious, the person is unconscious.
So, unconscious.
We're just trying to play with the words. You know, are all they one and same? Are they different? Are they pointing
Well,
to
you know, Albert Einstein said that it's impossible to, I guess, truly, and I'm just paraphrasing, to really understand something at the same level of consciousness that you're looking at that thing. So if we're looking at consciousness, right, from our conscious level, can we really understand consciousness, truly understand it from our human ability of awareness? And
You can perceive consciousness in your own way, but it has it could not be. Like we can perceive. I can perceive. We can have a debate.
yeah,
And we might not never resolve also. You can write your own book, I can write my
But
own
we're
book.
all
Both could appear
so
to be real,
small.
you know.
Like we're all so small in the whole context of consciousness, right?
yeah, we have only a small, tiny, like
Well-
piece of sand of consciousness, of the collective consciousness.
When we are talking about consciousness, what are we talking about? Like everything we are surrounded by?
Well, it's a like if it's one whole unification, then it's the entire universe, and we're such a one tiny dot within that.
We're not even one pebble of sand. We're not even that.
So is that possible to understand, or what's the word? Sorry, excuse me. Is that possible to fully know?
Is that why we do certain meditational practices to help us expand our consciousness? Or in some cases, people might take medicinal drugs of some kind, or plant medicine, or all these other things.
Well, plant medicine is still, I don't know. It depends on the question you ask. Actually, and I don't think, here comes the cameras. I don't think recreational drugs is about consciousness. Although, because of the nature of the nature probably of its indigenous use, I'm not talking about heroin or something like that. Well, I hope opium. Cocaine, for example, was used by the tribes in South America.
Let's talk about things which we can, you know, like I mean, this can go if we are talking about substance which we have never used. You know, it can be just a philosophical conversation, but like what we are talking about is consciousness. Okay, we understand some certain kind of drugs, they alter the consciousness, the way of looking at it. You know, But what we are talking about here is how a tiny speck of the consciousness can perceive the whole. Is that what we are talking about? Like, I am part of the consciousness, right? I'm not separate from the consciousness.
No.
But I'm trying to understand the whole, being a fragment of it.
But if we're all a reflection of the same thing, then you just have to maybe...
Like, for example, we have lungs and we have kidneys, okay? Let's say they have their own awareness.
Yeah.
They both are aware of what they're doing.
Uh-huh.
Yeah? Can lung ever know what's going on in the kidneys?
If he's got a relationship with the kidney and the kidney trusts the lung and
Yeah.
says, "Hey, buddy, this sucks," or
Yeah.
Reports to
A
each
lot of
other.
urine, man.
well, yeah, a lot
This guy drinks a lot.
of this guy.
he breathes a lot
They
too,
can,
with his lungs.
Oh man, this is
Empathize with each other, yeah. Oh, you're so busy.
But that's an integration, an integrated system. If one doesn't work, the other one will notice because things start to shut down.
Well, that's interesting because we do sort of separate ourselves from the collective conscious. Like our ego has a tendency of saying it's all about me, or you don't know how I feel, all these things, right?
Mm.
And only I could figure this out.
Oh yeah, but
Or only I can like work on this sort of equipment or this whatever.
I'm the
it
most
is.
important person here
Yeah.
because I hold all the information. But
I have
that's definitely not true anymore.
I have the most keys in my pocket.
You're like, okay, I'll be opening the doors.
Guys are here.
I think they're coming earlier because of the heat.
Come on.
So, but the effort, if you see, of trying to understand the whole, do we see a glitch in that process itself? You know, like as human beings, we are very curious to learn what's happening in the next planet, what's happening on the other. This is the whole thing, right? The game we play.
We always look external.
Yeah, we want to learn what is there in the sand, what is there in the plant. And whatever we see is just, like you say, the lungs can learn about the kidneys depending on the information they reveal. And what I understand is up to me again, you know, like I can write my own thesis, for which kidneys might disagree. But now we are studying the life on Mars. But we have certain thing as humans to understand the whole, or you know, to explore,
Well,
to learn.
perhaps that's why we are actually explorers in the beginning. Like, it's like it is a game. You know,
It's
We
revealing
derive pleasure
itself.
in exploring.
Yeah.
There is
it's
a
our
pleasure
natural
we derive.
tendency to explore, no different to the cat trying to observe this environment, which is completely new to her,
That's why we go on vacation sometimes, right?
Yeah.
To
to see something new.
yeah.
There's a different forms of pleasure, like food, traveling, learning, music, poetry, dance.
It's all exploration, though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they all satisfy. What's up?
Okay.
Yeah,
well,
she's leaving.
I guess it's the sun is coming up in the desert, and I've become aware that it's getting warmer and warmer,
We need to get out.
and it might be a good idea to start wrapping this up. Any final thoughts?
Beware.
Wake up.
Be aware.
Be present, man.
Wake up.
Focus.
Just be.
Do nothing. All will be sorted.
Just
Pay attention.
Noticing, start noticing that awareness, yeah.
Pay attention to your awareness.
Like Ming Tong Gu says, embrace all feeling, all sensation.
Embrace.
Embrace all. Embrace the suck.
Huh?
Yeah, you embrace the suck.
Oh.
You embrace all feeling, all sensation, all the good, all the bad, everything.
Oh. How does that become suck?
Well, let's say if it's raining and you're in a foxhole and you're in mud,
Oh, okay.
you might say embrace the suck in order to sort of like, become one with the mud.
Mm.
Your nose is sandy. Are you aware?
Or if it's super hot,
No, it's her eyelashes.
Embrace
instead
it.
of like, complaining about the heat.
Embrace
Sorry,
it.
duty.
Oh, I'm tired, eh?
And this kitty's embracing the sand.
Mm.
She's gonna be a wild cat.
And that's a wrap up, guys.
Yeah, I think it's just a fade out on the cat.
I'm gonna take the cat. Let's go to
You putting her in with Charlie?
You wanna sleep next to Charlie? Oh, you gone?